Right, guys, if you're on the stream, I'm very sorry. I had a few problems with my phone. Should be fixed now, and I'm just going to be putting the link around. Right, guys, I can see some of you there, but there's a lot more down. I'm just going to be sharing the link, and then I will get started with the lesson. Okay. Sorry about that. My phone was having issues, but we're up and running now, so we should be okay. Everything always works fine right up until you need it. Done on Twitter, just going to sort my Facebook out and then we'll be back. And everything's going slow now. Hope everyone's okay. Good to see there's quite a few people down, just making sure no one misses out. So sorry that we're going to be starting 10 minutes or so late. All my problem, my issue. But now the internet's not playing games with me. And now the internet isn't playing ball. Okay, how about 24? And if you do know anyone that was in before that hasn't mentioned it, okay, just let me know. I'm going to try and one more time to get on my Facebook page because there are a few less people in there than there was. Post. Why is everything so difficult today? Right. Okay, that should be everything sorted. Just gonna go make sure I'm up to date. Right, looks like we've got about the same numbers as we had before. I'm just going to wait a couple of seconds because I've only just managed to put up the post on Facebook. As soon as that's in, let's get that. Right, okay, so I'll just talk about what we're going to be doing today. Let's see, is that too bright? Is that better? No, I think we need more. Okay. So, today we're going to be making this optical sort of illusion drawing. Now, it might not look amazing at the minute where you've got it. If you've seen my video on my channel, it looks better if you have like a camera down around about here or you're looking that way. And it looks quite cool when you're moving around it and stuff. Okay, so from above, you don't get the full effect of it. But it is a pretty cool thing. And once we learn how to do it with this, again, like with most of the other things that we learn about, we'll be able to do it with lots of different other things. Okay, so we're going to need a pencil, a ruler, so a rubber, definitely need a rubber, and some scissors later on, but we don't need those just yet. And you might need a black pen or a Sharpie to go around the outside like I have. You don't need one of these, okay? It does make it pop out and look a little bit better, so I am going to be using one. But if you haven't got one, you don't need them in order to make it, okay? So, let's have a look. 32, yes, I think we're around about there. So the reason I've got the black paper as well is once you finish, when you've got it on a solid coloured surface, it looks best, okay? Black's a really cool one, but other colours, as long as it's a solid colour, you can see this here, it wouldn't really look good on that. So you've got a solid colour behind it, it looks cool. But obviously you can sort that out after you've done it. So I'm just going to move those to the side, okay? And I'm going to get some paper. Again, I've got paper underneath, just for when I'm drawing, so when I'm leaning on stuff. Oh, come back. Okay. And I'm also, okay, need paper underneath because later on I'm going to be using a Sharpie and I don't want it to go through. Always mention that. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in so you can see the paper a little bit better. Okay. Focus on what we are doing. I've got the camera on, so I should see if it goes out of frame or anything. But if it does, just let me know. I'm going to try and do it a little bit at an angle so you can see. I might move it closer to me every now and again when I'm drawing stuff. But I'll always try and get it back so it's best on screen. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get a ruler. You need a ruler. What we're going to do now is, on here you can see the letters really look good. They all look even, okay? It's not as if it's done by freehand. Now, I haven't done it by freehand. You could do it by freehand if you wanted to, and if you've done bubble writing and stuff like that. But I'm going to show you how to do it exactly, so they all look uniform and they look like they belong together. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to draw a line, okay? And I'm going to do it not right up in the top corner, but a little bit over there. And I'm going to start at my 0, okay, and I'm going to make that 18 centimeters long. Okay, so you can see I made that 18 centimeters long. Again, I'm going to try and do my lines a little bit darker than normal so you can see them. When you're doing lines, remember these are guidelines, so we're doing them quite light. So next, I'm going to turn my paper sideways. I'm going to do a line down 10 centimeters. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the edge of the paper to make sure it's straight, okay? And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm going to go from, you can do it two ways. You can start from 0 and go to 10, but I'm going to put my 10 on the edge here, okay, and go down to 0, okay? Then go to my other end. Again, trying to make sure it's at a right angle to the piece of paper so it's straight, and draw a 10 centimeter line. Now I've got those two, don't really have to worry about that one, I can just join them up. Okay. Some people use like what we call set squares. Now that's going to be the basis of where we have our letters. L-O-V-E are going to be in them. Okay. Now to make them all the same size, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some guide marks on this line. So one of these 8 centimeters, okay. Now each letter is going to be 4 centimeters with 1 centimeter between. So I'm going to start my 0, I'm going to go along to 4, and then I'm going to put a little line there. Okay. Then I'm going to go 1/2 centimetre, which on my ruler there, you can see that there's a longer line in between the 4 and the 5. Okay, that is 1/2 centimetre. Okay, so now I'm starting at 4 and a half. I'm going to go along to 8 and a half. So 8 and then the little line in between. Okay. And then I'm going to do another line at 9. So far I should have a line at 4, 4 and a half, 8 and a half, and 9. Okay, and the letters are all going to be the same size, 4 centimetres along. So I'm going along now to 13. Okay. And then 13 and a half. Okay. And those are going to be my last ones. Okay. Now what I'm going to do here is at the end, actually I'm going to put this back on. At the end, okay, I'm going to put a mark here because my last letter, okay, is going to need to be the same 4 centimetres as well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go at the bottom and I'm going to put my lines at the same part. So that's 4, 4 and a half, 8 and a half, 9, 13, 13 and a half, and then my last one, 17 and a half, just at the end there. Okay. And that is my lines. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that again to make sure you've got the lines. So we've got, put my ruler on, got a little mark at 4, 4 and a half, 8 and a half, 9, 13, 13 and a half, and then 17 and a half. Then here I've got 4, 4 and a half, 8 and a half, 9, 13, 13 and a half, and then 17 and a half. See, some people saying that they're a little bit behind. Don't worry, you can be a little bit behind, you can pause it, okay? If you've done it and you've gotten the lines missing up a little bit and you need to go back, that's absolutely fine, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to join these lines up, and that's why I put them, got lines, could have just done a little dot, but the lines mean I can easily see them, and I'm joining those lines up, because I've done them the same distance on the top and the bottom. Make sure I've got a straight line. I could have just done the top and then went down, but then I might have had wonky letters. Okay, just going to join those lines up. Now you can see the boxes that the letters are going to go in. So I'm going to have my L in here, I'm going to have my O in here, V in here, and E in there. And I've used the lines on each one to make sure that the gaps in between them are straight. Okay. I'm going to go things slowly. At this point, it's a bit precise. Okay. In a little bit, it won't be as precise. So now what I'm going to do is on this sideline here, I'm going to put my ruler along it, and I'm going to put a little mark at 2 centimeters. Okay. And I'm going to go across the other side here, and I'm going to put a line up that is 2 centimeters. Okay, and that's for the bottom of my L. So now I'm going to join those up. Okay, that was a little bit wonky maybe. Remember doing these lines like so. Put my line across, that's the bottom of my L. Okay, and now I'm just going to check with this one because I'm making mine a little bit bigger than I did before. I'm doing the same here. Across the bottom, do 2 centimeters, and then 2 centimeters at the top. And I'm going to join those two lines up. And there you can see my L. Okay, obviously we've got the other lines in it, so if I go over that a little longer there now. Okay, around where the actual outlines are. you will see I have my L shape. I'm going to leave my rubbing out till the end, so I'm just going to leave those other guidelines sort of around there at the minute. So I have the top side of my L there. Okay, now to make them uniform, okay, chat there. To make them uniform, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a line that goes, oh, go to my centimeters, a line that is 2 centimeters up here on this side and 2 centimeters up on this side, and I'm going to join them, and then I'm going to do the same but from the top. So I'm going to do a line that is 2 centimeters down on that side and a line that is 2 centimeters down on that side, and I'm going to draw a line across. I'm just going to check my, because they look won't be 2 centimeters. Oh, that needs to be a little bit further up. Okay, and I've got 2 lines there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is do a line from the bottom of this O here and do it 1.5 centimeters in. Okay, and do a one that's 1.5 centimeters in from this one. Don't worry, it will take a little bit to get, and again, if your measurements and everything are not precise, not exact, it doesn't matter, okay? You'll still get the same effect. I'm just showing you how people produce these letters sort of perfectly proportioned and everything, okay? So don't worry if yours is a little bit out when your letters look at the end. So again, at the top, I'm going to do a line 1.5 centimeters in from that side and a line 1.5 centimeters in from that side. And now I've got one on the top and the bottom. I can join them on the different sides of my O. Oh. So now you can see I've got like a square looking O, haven't I? So this is the part where I'm going to start to go freehand. So I'm going to do the outside. So I know this part's going to be straight, so that's going to be the outside of my O. But then I'm going to curve this around. This is just done by eye. Okay, don't worry if it's not perfect. Can go over, you can rub out. Okay, just get the curve of your O there, and again this one down to there. Okay, and because you've got the guide marks of where you're going from and to, helps you to make them more accurate. Do my line down the side there, because that's going to be the outside of my O, isn't it? And then curve this one round to there. And my line at the bottom, make that thicker. And my line on this one, up to there. Now don't worry if yours aren't perfect on there, have a few goes, have a bit of practice, try and make them best I can. Mine aren't even perfect there, but I'm okay with that. And I'm going to keep going. So now I've got the X outside of my O, you can see. Okay? And now we've got to do the same with the inside. But the inside, the O's are just going to go down here, so I'm not going to have any guide marks. I'm just going to curve them quite small, join them up. This don't need a line there. Okay, try and make them similar to the curves there. So I've curved my 2 O's at the top and bottom there, join them up. Okay, and now I've got my top of my O that goes in there. Okay. So I've got my L, I've got my O. Again, a lot of the times when I do, a lot of the times when I do bubble writing and 3D writing and stuff, I don't go to this extent and measure everything out. So if you're finding that a bit hard, you can maybe just have a look at what the L looks like and the O looks like and try and draw them freehand and roughly. The effect will still work. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm onto my V. Okay, I'm going to do a line So my centimetres, 1.5 centimetres in, draw a little line, and then 1.5 centimetres from the other side and draw a little line. Okay, so I've got 2 lines at the top of my V, 1.5 centimetres line, and then 1.5 centimetres in from that side. Okay. Then at the bottom, okay, we're going to do the same 1.5 centimetres in from each side. And again, like Miss Rice mentioned there, remember you can watch this back, you can pause it, okay, while you're doing each part. So now I've got my 2 minute design, but I'm not, because I've got my V, I'm not going to be joining them like this. What I'm going to be doing is starting in this corner here and joining it down to that dot that I've just drawn. Okay, can you see that? So I started there and I went down to that dot that I drew. Okay, now what I'm going to do from this dot, I'm going to go up to my second marking on the top there. Okay, so I've drawn like a V using those dots. Okay, so I used my first dot and went down, and then I went back up to this dot here, this one that's 1.5 centimetres across there. Okay, so not this first one, the second dot on the line. Alright, now I'm going to do with the second dot, I'm going to come in from this corner here and go down to it. Okay, so I went down there, and you can see because I've spaced them out, those lines there are parallel. And then I'm going to go up from this dot to the only one that hasn't got a line to it yet at the top there. So I've sort of drawn 2 V's on top of each other. Okay, you can see that. So this one is a V there, and that one is a V there. Okay, so my first dot here has a line that goes up to the corner and to the second dot along, third dot along, sorry. And this one goes from the second dot and the last dot. So we have 2 V's. Okay, and now if I join these 2 little lines, I'm going to draw my outline of my V now. If you look carefully, you can see the actual V. That outline there, I'm going to do a darker colour. This is definitely, darker line. This is definitely one of the videos where I think pausing it, coming back to it, is going to help. This outside line here, make that quite thick. And my top one, okay, and you might, now I'll do my other top one there now, and I'll explain how it's going to look as I go. So now I'm going to go down this line, but I'm only going to go to where the 2 lines meet. Okay, I went down to there, and I've went down to there with my outside line. Okay, so these I'm going to rub out, and you can see when I rub them out, I've got my V there. Okay, so on to the last letter. What we need to do is 2 centimetres again to make them all look the same. Little mark on each side, and draw a line across. Okay, not a heavy one, it's an outside line. Then go to the top and 2 centimetres down and 2 centimetres down. Okay, so I did dot on each side 2 centimetres to make that straight, and I went from the top and did 2 centimetres down as well. Okay, now do my L 2 centimetres along, so I'm going to do it the same here. So do a little dot 2 centimetres along, okay, and a dot at the top 2 centimetres along, and then join those up. Okay, so you can see I've sort of got like a C now, haven't I? what I'm going to do, okay, is 2 centimeters down that line, do a little dot and draw a line across. And then 2 centimeters up from this one, draw a little dot and draw a line across. You can see there if I go around the outside, I've got my E, but I'm going to make this one a little bit shorter. So I'm going to go in 1 centimeter on these 2 lines and join those 2. Okay, so I'm going to explain with that one again. So I did a 2 centimeter line up from the bottom, okay, made 2 dots either side to make it 2 centimeters. I did a 2 centimeter line down, okay, and on each dot on each side, and did a line across there. Then I did a mark here, 2 centimeters in and 2 centimeters in, and did a line down. Then I did a line, made a mark 2 centimeters down from this line and 2 centimeters up from this line, and drew my lines across. And then I went a centimeter in and drew a line up on that one. Again, you can pause the video, you can go back and watch it again. Okay, I would advise that if you are doing it. But again, remember as well, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, this is the first time you've drawn writing like this to make it sort of uniform and all the same. It is really tricky to get your head around. Okay, so now I'm going around the outside so I can see my E. So I did the bottom line, doing this line coming up. I'm going to do my top line. Okay, my line coming down at the top here, the top part of my E. This line going across. This line going down. You can see now I'm just drawing my E. Now I drew that line there, okay, this one, because the middle part of my E isn't coming out as far as the rest of my E. So you can see I'm going around the lines that are the outside of my E. Now you can now see that I have drawn the E. Okay, so you can see the different guidelines there. So we're now at the point where I am going to rub out my guidelines. Okay, so any line you can see that doesn't go in the L. It doesn't matter if you rub it, if you're going to go over the top like me with a Sharpie, okay, like this part. Doesn't matter if you rub out the lines that you're going to go over a little bit, because you're obviously going to be going over with another pen. So it's important to make sure that the other lines disappear more than making sure that you don't rub out the lines for the letters. Okay, so you can see I'm getting rid of the guidelines at the top and around there as well. Now, if anyone with speed has been able to keep up with me, then I'll be very impressed, because I did this at the weekend, okay, practicing, and it took me a couple of times to get that right, okay, and it took me a lot longer. I had to keep pausing the video I was watching to help me, okay, inside the O as well. What I might do is, once I've rubbed all these out, make sure I've got rid of the lines I don't need, I might go over the outside lines a little bit to help me to be able to see them. Now again as well, if you've had trouble with that, with the measurement or anything like that, and you've not used a ruler much, maybe to get precise inside of the V, this little V bit here, upside, well, sort of triangle, okay. If you've got something and it's not exactly to proportion, this effect is still going to work, okay, so don't worry about that. Just follow the next steps, put it on, and maybe watch the video again, have a go. And again, obviously, help you with these letters. You can do it with other letters, but you'd obviously have to really look at how you do each letter. Here's another rubber. Okay. Don't worry, Emily, don't get stressed, just take your time, pause the video, okay? Remember, it doesn't have to look perfect on your first time. The one thing with art is people struggle and they give up and they get stressed when they don't get it first time, okay? I would be amazingly impressed if anyone, not just art, is able to do something really, really well on their first go. Sometimes people do, okay? But a lot of times it takes practice, and that's why we are doing them here, okay? This is something you can have a go at and then maybe try and make another one. So don't stress out, okay? Don't give up, just keep trying. That's the only way. So, and that's the hardest part really that we've done now, because we don't have to measure now. We have to use our ruler and lines and stuff, but we're not measuring because we've got our letters and they look nice and they look in what we call uniform, so all the same in regards to the different things. Just going to go over some of that I've rubbed out there. I'm not going to spend ages. I might spend it a bit longer if I was doing this myself, okay, in order to make sure I've got rid of all the lines. But because I'm doing this for you guys and see. So now I've got that there. So we've got the letters wrote out. Now what we need to do is sort of make them 3D so that it gives us the effect that they're popping up off the page. So what you need to do is we're going to start at this point on our L. Okay, we're going to start at this point. We're going to do the line going down, but we're not going to be doing it straight. It's going to be going at a slight angle. Not too much of an angle. We're not looking like this, okay? For the effect that we're trying to create, we're doing a line down like this, okay? And what I'm going to do is when I've got that line, that's about the angle I'm going to do. Again, look, I just eyeballed that, it wasn't precise. I'm going to try and keep my ruler at the same angle to move along to the other point of the L and do that. So I can see there now, looking at that one, I think I moved the ruler a little bit when I've done it, because in order for this effect to work, it needs to look real, okay? And if our proportions and things are out, so I've got that one there, I'm going to move it across. Yeah, my line's a little bit different. And down. I'm just going down as far as I can at the minute, okay? And that looks okay for me. Alright. Now I'm going to I'll use this line. So I'll get my line. Can you see I'm getting my ruler on this line? So it's the same angles. And then I'm going to go to that point of my L. And I'm going to do a line going down. Okay? So I've got that one. I'm going to change it a little bit because I think I was a little bit off. Okay, so now I've got my lines coming down on my L. Now the O's a bit different because we've got that curved surface, haven't we? So we start at this sort of point here, the furthest out that it goes. I'm going to change that curve a little bit there. So the furthest out that it goes, again the same angle as the O, because although the different letters are the same, I'm going down, see that's there, and I'll be going down. Okay, so I'm going down from that point. Now you can see on this one, I don't have a line here, but I do need a line in order to help me to create this curve at the bottom. So what I'm going to then do is that same angle, okay, I'm going to move over to this point here where the curve stops and do a line down. So that's the only line I'm going to be rubbing out, and I've moved a little bit there. And say I'm moving each time, that's why it's good to do it light, then rub out over, okay, and we've got that one. Okay, now I'm going to do these other parts of my L. So I've just missed that top bit of my L, I've just realised. So I've got my line here, that's the angle that I'm going to take. Okay, can you see I've lined this up here? I'm just going to move my ruler and try and keep it the same angle, move it over there and draw my line going down. Okay, and with the top of my O, I'm going to do the same as I did with this curve. Okay, so I'm going to keep, so I'm just rubbing, I've got two lines down here at the minute. Okay. I'm going to keep that angle, and I'm going to go up to where it goes sort of like furthest out, which is here, and come down there. Okay, can you see I went to the point where it goes furthest out and drew my line going down. Okay. Now this one I'm looking, that angle there, second one, I'm going to rub that out because my angle, because what you've got to be most careful of is the furthest that you're moving your ruler, the further you're moving it, the more likely you are to change. Okay, so I can see this line here, so I know I'm going to start here, but I'm using this line on the other side to get the right angle. Okay, and again, they're not perfect, but as long as it looks fine, yeah, looks cool to me, I'm going to be using that. So now move on to my V. I'm doing the same thing. I'm using these angles, okay, and going to this point. So I put my pencil there, get my line, take it off, see if I'm happy with that. I need to go a little bit closer to 180 degrees, I think. So I need a little bit more there. Okay, I'm happy with that one. Copy over onto the other corner of the V. So I'm starting there. Down there. Okay. We need to do at the top, so I'll put my pencil there. Okay, move this up. So we've got that part of the V there. Again, move quite a bit there, and I don't think I'm quite at the right angle. I'm going to go down a little bit. Now what I'm using, what's good when you rub it out, is when I rubbed it out, I thought I need to be a little bit more this way. So I used the sort of faint line that I'd rubbed out to think, all right, I need to go that way a little bit. So that can help me as well. And again, I'm going to use that angle, start on this point of my V, okay, and I'm going to go over and just into where the E is, okay, maybe down a little bit more. I'm happy with that, okay. Now we're just going to start off with the bottom of the V, E, sorry, but we're using the V to get our line. Let's get our line across there, actually go back a little bit. See, did that I had before rubbing out. That's why sometimes I've got double lines. But if I rub that out a little bit, I know when I go over with pen which line it is I'm going over, and then I can rub out properly when I'm going. Okay, so I've got my E, and you can guess which corner we're going to go to next. Okay. So that one. So those lines at the bottom look good to me now. Going to move up to this one because this one letter is on the edge. Now I don't need to go down all the way to the bottom. I'm going to go quite far, and see that line's wonky already. I'm going to go quite far. When they're close to each other, it's easy to see if they're off a little bit. Okay. Okay, and we're going to do the same with all the points of this E, and then we'll use some lines and rub out the ones that we don't need. Okay, so this corner here we're going to need one. Again, the same angle every time. Okay, use that line to go there, and obviously if I hit the other part of the E, I can just stop. Don't have to go all the way. Okay, I go a little bit further just in case I need it from my guidelines. I'll see you later. Same angle, I need to do this one. Again, goes into there so I know exactly where I'm going to stop there. Now I'm always using the angle, okay, that's closest again to try and make my pencil stop more. Making those lines a bit longer so I can use them and make sure they've all got enough length on them. Okay. So, starting to take shape, okay, but we need now to make them all the same. So what I'm going to do, okay, so you've got all these guidelines going off the bottom. We're not going to go right to the bottom of the page. We're going to go to about, okay, I'd say there. Okay, now you can make them longer, you make them shorter, it's up to you, but I want a bit of length on them for the effect that I'm trying to create. So I'm about ruler's length from the bottom, but obviously it depends where you've done your letters as well. And I'm just going to draw a line across, okay? And that's going to be so they all go down to the same length. So now I can rub out the lines underneath. So I was drawing them all the way down, because what happens if you don't make one long enough, you need to add on to it. It's not the best. It's easier to make the lines too longer and have too much length on them, be too long. Okay, and then rub them out. So I'm going to start making these a bit thicker. Start with the L. Let's go along now. So I'm going along those lines that I've got. Okay, now I've got this line down here. I've got no guideline of when to stop there, so I'm going to put my ruler so it goes along with the L. Okay, the same angle. And I'm going to move to this point. Okay, so this point here is where I'm going to stop, so I'll put my pencil there. So I can see I'm lining my ruler up here with the end of my L, and I'm going to move it over and draw my line up, and then I've got where the L would end. Okay, so rather than just eyeballing it and putting the L in there, we can see exactly where it would end. Now the same here, this one goes all the way down, but it wouldn't actually go there, would it? Let's have a look. Okay, so the next L line, okay, I'm going to start would be, I'll work out, sorry, where this would be going to, at the back there, okay. So we can see that this line is 2 centimeters long. So I'm going to do here, put a little dot 2 centimeters along, okay, my L. Tiny dot, because I don't want to see, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my ruler on that line and go straight up with the parallel piece of paper, because that's going to show me where this line would be, where the L would end. Okay, can you see that? So the L doesn't go all the way to here, it would go up to this part. So I can draw this thicker and this thicker up here. I'll use my ruler now for speed, but you can see it's affecting how good my lines are looking. And then rub out the odd guideline around it. So I've got my L there. Okay. Move on to my O. So I've already got this one done, so make that one thicker. What you got to do is when you come to the end there, you need to curve it a little, because this is our O, isn't it? So we curve it a little. All right. This one here, with the O, you can see it will be coming. It's a straight line there, so I'm going to put my ruler there to get it straight. I'm going to come across, and at this corner here, do a straight line up till I hit my V. Okay, so I've done that straight line up. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go slowly, making it thicker. What I do is I curve round into this line as well. Okay. And I curve up there. Okay, so where that line went to, square, do my line up, and I can see now when I make them thicker, I can rub this line out because that was just there for my guide mark there, so I knew where to do my curve. Okay, and we have the O there. Okay. Now making the bottom of this V thicker, we need to put the bottom on there because I've rubbed it off as I've been doing things. Okay. Now for this one, for the part where the V goes up here, this bottom part will be the same angle as the top of the V. So put my pencil there where I'm going to start and move it into there, into my E. Is it the right? Yeah, looks about right. And then in there. So use that as a guideline, and these are all good to go. So I've got my L, my O, and my V done there now, and just doing my V. E, sorry. So that line's going to be there. And we're going to go along to where this guideline comes down. So we'll make those thicker. Okay. And now what I need to do is straight line, so I can use the ends of my E to make sure my angle's right. Go to this point here. Okay. And have my ruler line up with those two E's, make sure it's straight, and use that as a guideline. Okay. So I can do it straight up to there, the end of my E. Okay. Thicker, that means it's helped us with the top bit, so I know that these now go down to there. Okay, because I need to make sure that these sort of are the same length, that's why we use that guideline up there. So now I can join them, and I went off the guideline a little bit there, so you can see it doesn't look quite perfect. Okay, now this would go straight across, so I can use the top of my E if I want, but from here I go straight across. Okay, and then my top of my E. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rub some of these guidelines out now to make it easier to see what I'm trying to do. If you're not sure which guidelines you can rub out, just wait, because we need to do this little bit here, don't we? Okay, so with this E here, I'm going to go down to about there and draw my straight line down. Okay, so now I can make these lines thicker, because I know they're not just guidelines now, they're actual outside lines, and rub the edge of them out. So now we have done all of the, you could say, drawing. Okay, it's been very geometrical with the rulers and stuff like that, measuring stuff, very precise, but we have them there. Now a lot of times I don't like using rulers and being precise and stuff in art, because that's not what art's all about. But when we're trying to create an optical illusion, we're trying to make the things look real. Okay, it helps if everything is in proportion, because it helps to trick our eyes. Because if anything is not in proportion, if it doesn't match what it should, then people go, oh, that doesn't look right, and it breaks it from there. Okay, so now we have our LOVE. Now, one of the big things that helps this look real in the optical illusion work is our shading. Okay, is our shading. So now we're going to look at that. Now, we've looked at a few different times in lessons. We always mention about shading. To make your drawings and make anything that your paintings or anything that you're doing start to look more realistic and start to look better, okay, we have to focus on our shading. Okay, because everything that we in real world reacts to light. Okay, reacts things bouncing off light, things like that. So first thing you got to think of is, where is your light coming from? And for this optical illusion to work, we're having our light coming down in this direction. Okay, which means our L, O, V, and E are going to be left white because they are being lit up by this. Now, you can, if you want to do this, you could do this in a different color, but when you do it, if you had green here, you'd have to have different shades, darker greens here and blacks, to make your shadows look good. Okay, if you don't have those, then white's the easiest thing to do, because we can use our pencil to do our shading. So first thing I'm going to do, the shadows that are going to be on the actual ground, they are going to be the darkest. Okay, the shadows on the bottom here, because the light's coming this way, they're going to be the lightest. So these will be lightest on the top, then we'll have a light shading on the bottom here. Okay, and anything that's on this side, okay, so these things here and this side, they will be quite dark, not quite as dark as the bottom. Okay, so we're going to start with our L. Now, with this as well, if we're having a 3D, at the bottom here, we would have darker shading. Okay, it would definitely, even though this is all going to be darker, it's going to be much darker at the bottom. Okay, so I'm just taking a little bit of pressure off as I'm getting to the top. Okay, so you can still see it's dark, but I'm taking a little bit of pressure off. And what I might want to do, okay, is when I go back to the bottom, really put some pressure on. So right near where it touches the ground, the floor, we're going to do it. I'm going to use a sort of like a cross hatching technique. So I was going up there, so now I'm going to go across, okay, The reason I'm going across and down is to make it look, yes, uniform. If you can see the pencil marks going up and down, okay, then it's not going to look as good. It's not going to look like it is real shading. You can still see the pencils. So the easiest thing to do that, once I do this and your fingers and thumbs are going to get a little bit of ink on them, I'm going to smudge it with my thumb. Okay, and if you can really see the pencil marks, really good. Don't worry if the it goes onto the letter. We can rub stuff out later on. Okay, and if it goes around, okay, I can see, you can see there I've got around, but when I rub out down there, down that line, because that's the only bit I want. I've got that one shaded in there, and I'm going to do the same with this one. So we're going to start a little bit darker at the bottom. Okay. And still dark on this side, but getting taking a little bit of pressure off the pencil as I come near the top. Okay, I'm putting more in there, and again, went that way, so now I'm going to go up and down. Okay, trying to make this dark a bit at the bottom, even though it's all dark. Again, using my thumb to smudge this, and I might want to go over this bottom part again, because this is the part I want darkest, and then smudge it again. Okay, and see my pencil marks there. So I'm now going to go in the opposite direction and smudge it. And shadows a lot of time is about doing things gradually. Okay, so like I said, on the bottom of this O, I want a little bit of shading. Okay, but not much. So what I'm going to do, you can see very lightly shading there. You can clearly see at this point that that's pencil. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try and smudge that. And you can see now it's just a little bit of shading. Can you see that? So at first it looked like pencil, but now I'm getting pencil markings on my thumb. Oh, there we go. That helps to make it smoother, okay? So you can see that I've got a little bit of shade now. I want this top bit, the L, the top of the L, to be the brightest. So now I'm going to, because when I've been shading, it'll have been getting onto there. I'm going to rub out on there to make that nice and bright. Okay, now I've left this bit here because I'm going to go, because now the shadow that's on the floor will be the darkest. Now because the L's this way, it means our shadow would be going off that way, because that's where the light's coming from. Remember when we actually, if you were in my science lesson, remember shadows go the opposite directions, okay, to the light. So if the light's coming this way, the shadows are going that way. Okay, so the L will be coming down here. So I'm shading this in. Okay. So now can you see I've got my shadow going off on the L there. I'm going to make this quite dark. Okay. Now start this. What I am actually going to do, I'm going to stop. And I'm going to go around with my pen now. Okay. Just realise I'm going around there. You can't see a break between these shadows with it being darker at the bottom. So I'm going to go around with my pen there now. Okay. Should have done it before we started. I was shading, but I'm not. Little tip, that ruler, my ruler there, can you see it's a little bit raised? Okay, I'm going to turn it upside down because I'm using my felt tip to go over. And because I move it upside down, it stops. Okay. If you have it flat, when you move it away, it can smudge the ink. Okay. But if I have it upside down, it helps to stop me from the ink. So we want the letter outline done. Okay. I've got that sort of line, the shadow on yet there at the minute, but that's not going to go on. So we're just basically going over the lines that we've already did. If you're a little bit behind and you haven't started the shading, then do this anyway, because this is the right point we would be doing it. Okay, now I just noticed when I was doing that bottom shadow that it would help out. Okay, with the L, remember, use your ruler and then just take your time with those curved parts. Okay, the least amount of times you take, especially with the Sharpie, the least amount of times you take your thick pen, okay, off the paper, the better, because normally where it leaves the paper. Oh, there's the top of my head. Where it leaves the paper, you will have a little bit of a sort of dot. Okay. Where the ink's pooled a little. Okay. So it's really starting to stand out there now. And obviously I had to start the lesson about 15 minutes late or so with my technical issues. So if you do need to go, obviously the video will stay up on my channel. And you can come back, resume where you are. Okay. Over a bit, perhaps if you could see what we're doing, yeah. And if you're going to secondary school as well, and you're going to be using a fountain pen, I know that people still use them. I know I used to when I was at secondary school. Using the ruler upside down helps with that as well. That's where I got the trick. Because I always used to underline my titles and smudge the ink all the way across my work. So it helps with that. And then if you wanted to, again, for time and me doing this live on the stream, I'm not going to, but if you wanted to, once you went over with a pen around your outlines, okay, you could rub out all of the pencil before you start the shading. Obviously I've started the shading like a numpty, okay, but you can see on my E, or my O, my V, my E, my O and my V, I could rub out those pencil lines there now, so they don't sort of affect it. So I go back to my shading now. I've done my outline. So remember, this shadow is going to be darker because this is where the sun's been completely blocked. Move my head so you can see, and you don't want to see. People will definitely be looking, trying to spot grey hairs. If my head is on the camera there, Mrs. Carthy, I guarantee, and Mrs. Rice, just as bad. Wind up merchants. Okay, you can see now, I'm not bothered too much that you can see my pencil marks. I am more bothered about making this as dark as I can without, be careful, because when you're doing lots and lots and lots, now I'm going to go the opposite direction, a bit like cross hatching. So my lines are going to, if I go too much, okay, the paper, I don't want to rip it or anything like that, okay. But now when I smudge it, I should lose those lines, okay. I'm not a bit bothered if it goes on a sort of shading onto where it shouldn't. Okay, and if you really find it hard to get rid of sort of certain lines, press a little bit harder with your thumb. Okay, go back over the top. And sometimes, a lot of the times when you smudge it with your finger, okay, a little bit of it will sort of go off like there. You can see there's a little bit. Now with this bit, with my shadow, I'm having it there, I think that looks fine, okay, because, so I wouldn't have it here, but there, it just makes the shadow look as if it's ending, because a shadow, a lot of time, doesn't have like a straight ending to it, so I'm just rubbing out the, right, like the edge line of it there. Okay, and there's a little bit shadow around. So I've got my shading for my O. So it's the same thing there. Now there would be maybe a little bit shading here, okay, on my O, because it's quite close to that L. Okay, but this bottom part again would be the part where we wouldn't have much. Now what I'm going to do is, now on my diagonal line from here, okay, that's sort of where my shading, now not that this all the best today, that's where my shade would start to get darker and then be a lot darker here. So here is where we just have a little. Okay, so put a little bit on there, smudge it. Okay, so there's just a little bit shading, and then here is where I want to be darker, okay, because this will be on the other side of the sun. We wouldn't be able to see it. And as we get down close to the curve of the O, a little bit lighter, but still it will quite suddenly get, okay, darker. And again, going in different directions with my pencil for the shading, so it's not all linear, all the same one. Okay, smudge that now. Okay, I'm just gonna try and tie this up a little bit now. This is probably about where I'm going to start. It look not as good. Might go there. Now I think I did that all a little bit too dark, so I'm just going to rub out a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to smudge what's left there. And the angle of where the line, the shadow, sort of ends is what I'm trying to get to look right there now. Okay, and just smudge it. Okay. Right, so with the O, we're going to have shading on the inside here. Now at the top, we might have a sort of a little bit there, okay, and then most of this here will be darker. Okay, and we'd have a little beam of sort of light there where the sun was hitting the top of it, so have a little sort of colour on. Again, that'll help make it look 3D. If your shadows don't match, okay, that'll affect it looking 3D. Do my lines in different directions, make sure they're not linear, not all the same, filling in any gaps, and smudge it. Okay, now finish my shading on my O, so the top of it I'm going to rub out around. It might not really seem like it's on there, but I can see when I look close, when I've smudged, it's went onto there. So I'll make that bright white, show you that the sun is there and the light's not bleeding off onto it. Okay, B's the same. This part's going to be darker, just a little part, so I can just shade that in straight away. Don't have to worry too much about my lines up in different directions. That was being a small part. Just smudge it. It's a little bit light there. Smudge it again. Okay, again, my bottom, just a little bit. Sorry, the V's bottom, even. Okay, again with the V at the bottom here, and then maybe not the completely dark, it's not the shadow on the floor, but all the way up. And you can see now, you can see the pencil marks. I'm not bothered. This is just my first set of lines, and this is going to be quite a dark section because it's again the opposite side of the light source. So now I'm going to do diagonal lines, go back across. Now sometimes the shading as well, if you're not doing really dark shading, it's better sometimes to have your pencil not really sharp. Okay, when it's really sharp, you do get really dark lines. You get more of a sort of soft shading colour when your pencil's sharper. So when you're doing those darker shadows on the floor, if you maybe had another pencil that was quite dark, okay, I'll use this one actually for the shadows of the O and the V, okay, and that might be better. I'm happy with that shading on the V there now. Just going to smudge it, smudge this bottom part, okay, then rub out any of that pencil mark that it's got on to the V from my smudging, okay, and I have my V now. So I'm going to use this sharp pencil like mentioned. Okay, so the light source is from over this way, okay, coming down in this, so it's sort of coming up from that direction, okay, so anything on this side's dark, obviously anything underneath there. So now I'm going to do my shadows for my O, so I just need a little bit here. You can see this pencil's sharper, so you can see I'm probably going to get darker shadows straight away. My V the same, going off. Remember, your shadows, your shapes will always go the opposite direction of your light source. Okay, so my light's coming down here, so my shadows are going off that way. So I'm really trying to get these nice and dark shadows on the bottom, smudge them a little bit. You can see pencil lines there, so I'm going to go across the other direction. Okay, go up and down, across, diagonal. Okay, smudge them, then use my rubber to make sure where I've been smudging hasn't went on to parts that it shouldn't do. Okay. So a lot of times you think, oh well, the shadow should be on the bottom because that's where it is, but obviously if the light's here, we would have light filled here, so we wouldn't have the shadows. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the shadow on the E first, okay, on the actual E, and then we will do the shadow coming off the E, because obviously the shadow coming off the E is going to look a little bit different because we'll be able to see all of it. Okay, so again, the bottom, just doing light shadows. Okay, so a little line, I'm going to cross hatch that there. Okay, and then smudge it. Okay, so these bottoms should all be roughly the same, don't have to be perfect. And this one, darkest at the bottom, but pretty dark all the way up. Okay, smudge that there. This little part here, I'm going to be darker. Okay, and what I'm going to do the easy parts first, and then so if I miss any parts out, don't think I'm missing them. I'm leaving them for a reason. Okay, this part here, so I've left that part, this part here. Okay, the same, opposite that light source, so quite dark. This part here. And this part here. So you can see I've left that big part there as well. Now I'm doing my shading a little bit quicker there now, conscious of time, but we're nearly at the end there, it's not far from it. Again, you can see my smudgings come all the way off there. I'm not sure bothered if I'm going to do it. Now these bottom parts here, they will be quite light because if the sun's coming this way, we would have them, but we would have a little bit of a shadow off the actual letter. So if we had, okay, a sort of diagonal line across there, this one is going to be not completely dark, okay, but a little bit of shading. Okay, not as dark as the one before. And this one's going to be like light, like it's the bottom. Okay, smudge that there. Smudge it together. This bar should be a little bit darker, so I'm going to go over the top. Okay, and then this side of it should be, and then do the same here. So the line goes down there. This side should be a little bit darker. Okay, and this part should be a little bit like the bottom, so not as shaded in there. Now I'm conscious because that looks really like a line, pencil line, sorry, and it's breaking the illusion. Okay, so I'm going to rub out any pencil marks or anything I've got on the E. Okay, come here as well, just because I realise I missed a part. Okay, so what I'm also going to do is there'll be a little bit of shadow here off my O. I'm going to do a little bit of dark shadow there. Okay, not too much, and the V and everything's fine. Okay, so now is the E. So what I want to do is about the same angle that I've done, I'm going to do a line, okay, up there. And again, this is a guideline, so I'm going to go longer than I can. Now at about the same angle, I want to come from this top part of my E. Okay, and then I'm going to draw a line down about there. Okay, it doesn't have to be a set distance or anything, it would depend on how high the sun was. So you can see I've got this sort of square lines on there now. I'm going to go a bit closer so you can see. So you can see I've got that sort of square line. Now obviously the E doesn't look like that. We have this little part, so from this dot here, so I get this angle, and this is about getting my shadows exactly right. You don't have to go to this extent to get them right. Okay, but that's where the middle of my E would be, and I'm going to say it goes back, let's have a look, goes back about a centimetre, so I'm going to go about to there. Okay, so I've got those guidelines on there now, and now I'm going to start doing is I'm going to, rather than just draw on the outside, I'm going to start shading so you can see. because of the way the letter goes. Okay. Smudging over. But I'm sort of drawing that E shape on there. Okay, so I'm going down with this line here. Oh, right, sorry, I'm going to do that bit again. Okay, just trying to think exactly how it would look with the sun coming down. Right, okay. So, sorry about that, I forgot to draw my lines from here. See, even I've done it a couple of times and I'm making mistakes. Still got my line on there. But I'm going to follow this line around again. So, coming down, come back down around this way. Okay, down. And we're sort of drawing the E. Okay. From there. Now, it doesn't matter that it doesn't look exactly the same as the one above, because when shadows stretch, okay, it affects how this sort of look. So now, just going to start shading inside there. And this one probably wouldn't have a clean line at the end, so when we are using our thumb to shade them, it doesn't matter if the shading goes over a little bit. You can clearly see my pencil lines at the minute. This is my first sort of lines that I'm doing. I'm going to go up and down now. It's all about getting the pencil, the graphite and everything on. See, I'm not bothered if I'm going over those lines and smudging them, because that's what would happen in real life. Okay. I'm going to go some diagonal lines. It's harder to make it more smoother and uniform when it's a bigger area. Okay, it takes more time, and again, I'm making sure I don't. And smudging always really helps. So I'm going to smudge with this here. Okay, and you can see I'm smudging across there where those lines would be. That would be fine. What I've done here is I went too hard on the guidelines so you can see them, so it looks like there's a sort of border on the shadow, which there wouldn't be. So I'm trying to blend that in a little bit now. Okay, so making the other colours next to them darker. And on that big part of shading, a lot more. Okay, so now just rub out sort of excess that I don't want, and the extension of that guideline. Okay, and then just keep smudging and adding and rubbing out until you're happy with what yours looks like. And again, with shading, with everything, the best way to get used to shading is to draw stuff in real life and have an actual light source, okay? So you can see where the shadow would be and how shadows react. And once you're doing it quite a few times, you get used to it and you'll be able to see them. So, we've now done all the sort of drawing that we need to do. Now what we need to do is to cut this out so it looks like it's sticking out, okay? So what we're going to do is, from this L here, from to about there, depends what the angle of your O is, I'm going to draw a line down there, okay? I'm not bothered about this one because I'm going to cut that one out. So I'm going to draw a line down there. Now, I'm going to draw a line across the top of my shapes. Now, what I've not done Again, Mr. B's made a mistake, surprise. My shadow's a bit long there, so I'm going to cut the end of my shadow off. That's okay. If I had time, I'd probably rub this out and I would do my shadow again. Okay, but you can see here, I'm going to draw a line across, not the letters, just sort of the background. And if I made my shadow a bit shorter there and it was all on, it would make the effect look better, but it doesn't matter. Now, be careful with scissors, please. And if you want it to look the best, then you need someone else to cut them out for you. That's fine. So I'm going to cut across this line till I hit a letter. Now when I get to a letter, I'm going to follow that letter around. Okay, so follow the top of that E, go across the top of the E. Okay, do this little nook in here, so down and down. Those bits can be the hardest bits to get out. You don't want to leave any sort of white paper or anything. Down in the V. Oh, and I can see I've got my line there, can't you? Across on the V there. So I'm going to go across a little bit of the V apart. Look at that. As there, you can see I got that little bit there. I'm going to go down my, across, going to go down my V there. And I've hit the line, so I'm going to go to the line that I drew, cross that line till I hit the letter again, and then go around. This letter, then along the line, till I hit the L, hit the O, up to there. Across there, down my L to the line, and then across to the end. Okay, so we went across the top there. Now I'll rush it a little bit again for the time on the stream, but that line doesn't look the best. The straighter that line is across there, the better it will look. But I've still got this line here, so I go up there till I hit the L. Okay, then I cut round the side of my L. So that is what I've got. Okay, and I'm going to rub out any extra lines that I've got. So that pencil line that I first drew wasn't the straightest again, with me trying to go fast for the stream. I'm going to keep using that excuse. Okay, you can't prove otherwise. And then any other lines that I don't need. Okay, any other lines that you don't need that you can see will break the optical illusion. And I'm going to go up here as well. I don't need loads of paper. Okay, and try and be straight. Straight lines are the better. Okay, so now we have the finished article. Okay, I'll get some black paper so we can see it again. We need it on all one colour. So I've got some black card here. Alright, and we put it on now. Because we did a lot of shading and stuff on it, my paper is curled a bit. So before I took my picture and video and stuff of the one that I put online, I put it into a book. What you can see now, I'll just get the camera and I bring that down. Okay, we have, I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. Sorry. Okay, we have this optical illusion effect. So it looks like the letters are sort of moving. You can see at the edge there, my paper's curled, so it will look better when that's a little bit flatter. Okay. And the experiment didn't make this work. Okay. angle, it can make it look like it pops out more. Okay, depending on where you draw that line, that can make it look pop out more. So if you have a lot shorter shadow and you have the line going across here, and you have to put inside the actual hole there, that would look pretty cool as well there. So there's lots of different ways you can use it, and you can use the techniques and stuff as well to do lots of different things. I'm going to end the lesson there. Obviously we ran over by quite a bit, but obviously we had a problem at the start, so I apologise for that. And I would love to see your attempt at this. Okay, remember, that's your first attempt, it doesn't matter. Please send them in to my Mr. Biggins page. So Mr. Biggins 123 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can also, if you're from my school, you can send them into the email at the Padlet or send them to the school Twitter. We would love to see them. Okay. Hope you enjoyed that lesson. Again, next week we will have, sorry, the camera's going everywhere now because it's in my hand. Next week we'll have another art lesson. I will pop up things that you need and what is we're going to be doing before that lesson. Hope you enjoyed that all, guys, and catch you all later.